Say it now. Say the obvious prediction right now.
The Stars are going to win the Stanley Cup.
Hey guys, welcome back to Starcastic Remarks. Alongside Chris, my name is Ryan Chambers. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast of THPN. Go and use that promo code THPN the next time you are there to use DraftKings Sportsbook. And I don't think anybody would have bet the Stars to have a 3-2 series lead. Let's go!
Let's go. I mean, all the way back and then some. That's insanity.
It's absolutely ridiculous, the chutzpah of this team and how well they have played since Game 3, Chris. I don't even know where to start with this game, but before we start, first off, I am so sorry I made everybody wait for an hour to talk about this game. Sometimes there's things a little bit more important in your lives, but nonetheless, tonight, everybody, I mean, it just... From the start, even though Vegas got the first goal, it felt like a game the Stars were going to win. It just felt like it, but based off of the way that Vegas was playing and based off of the way that the Stars were playing with a lot more confidence in their game. Vegas was not. Chris, what's your initial thoughts coming out of this game here tonight? First playoff series, a lead for the Dallas Stars in the 2024 playoffs.
Yeah, despite the scoreline, the Stars dominated this game. I mean, like you said, it felt like the Stars were going to win this game even when they were down twice. And Vegas does what they do best, and that's capitalize when the Stars make mistakes. And we've talked about that time and time again. Vegas is amazing at that, and they do it again tonight to make this even a game. But other than those two bad mistakes from the Stars, I mean, the Stars play a perfect game and even improve on what they did last game. Last game, we have the lead going into the third period, and we try to play the Vegas game, and they do it with the help of Jake Oettinger. But tonight, even the third period, they don't even have hardly as much a chance because they played the whole period on the other end of the ice, exactly like we wanted them to do it, and they did it perfectly. And still, one slip up. There was one more slip up. There was two slip ups in the game, and then there was one at the very end. And Otter with the absolutely monster save to save the game, maybe the series. I mean, can you imagine if that goal goes in after the AAC is on its feet for the entire last 3 minutes and that goal goes in and shuts it all down, and you go to overtime and try and win the game like that. Wow, that would be a momentum destroyer. So it was pivotal that Otter make that save, and he absolutely did it. And the phenomenon is back. I mean, the villainous big save clutch Otter is here.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because that was going to be the very first thing I brought up in tonight's game. Was I even put in my notes over here, I said, that's the game. This game's over. After he made that save, I was not worried in the slightest at all for how the last 2.5 minutes were going to go after that save. I mean, he just wasn't going to let one in. He wasn't going to allow it to happen. And to see the difference in how he played in the last couple of games is fantastic. In this series, it's been ridiculous.
Yep. The turnaround, we talked about this turnaround in the season. The turnaround in the season and the series has been exceptional. And even tonight, he lets one softie go in. But, I mean, you could have one softie go in when you're only allowing 2 a game. I mean, what is this, the 4th straight game where Otter allows 2 or less? Yeah, he is being amazing. He's had a couple slip ups here and there, but he makes up for them and then some with these huge clutch saves in the third period. No goals in the third period against Otter for Vegas.
Agreed. One of the things that I was particularly worried about was that second goal that Otter gave up, because I was like,
bad.
oh,
that's the worst one he's given up.
Yeah, and that's one that he wouldn't normally give up, and man, did he make up for it, and more so with that save at the end of the third period. That's been the one thing that we complained about in game 2, especially, was like, it's not fair for us to expect it, but we need Oettinger to make a save when we need it. We had one mistake in the third period, one, and it was actually even a good play by Vegas, and it was one of their better players in Chandler Stevenson, and he made the key save at the key right time, and that allows the Stars to go 3-2 up in the series. I mean, you can't talk more about the difference between game 1 and 2, and then the difference between the last 3 games, game 3 to game 5. He has been one of the reasons why the Stars have gone up in the series now.
And the building going berserk after the save, too. I mean, after I was done jumping up and down and screaming for the save, I just got goosebumps from the reaction inside the AAC. That was super cool to watch. It was awesome. The fans all night were just rowdy as all get out. They were outstanding tonight. Way to go, Stars fans that were in downtown Dallas.
I loved seeing it. It was a minute 45 left, Chris, and I agree with you. That's probably the loudest I've seen the American Airlines Center in a long time. And the fact that he was the reason why they were standing on their feet. He was absolutely the reason why they were standing on their feet. Jake Oettinger was. So I know we've talked about how amazing Wyatt Johnston has been. Tonight was Oettinger's night. It was absolutely Oettinger's night. So just amazing.
Perfect segue. Wyatt Johnston.
Yeah,
2 points again tonight. He just has Vegas's number over and over again this series. He has been, I mean, out of nowhere kind of too. You look at his playoff performance last season, and he wasn't there. I mean, it kind of makes sense. He's a 19-year-old kid trying to play in the playoffs. We didn't really expect a lot from him. But, I mean, this turnaround from playoff to playoff in different seasons is so quick. And he's not only just had a big jump, he is the catalyst for the Stars offense in this series.
He absolutely is. And it's not just, with goal scoring either. He mostly a setup guy tonight. So, and you could say whatever secondary assists, but still doesn't matter. He has been absolutely fantastic. And let's talk about his line mate tonight in Logan Stankoven.
Oh, man.
He's the guy that, Johnston's kind of like the guy on stage getting kind of all the glory and stuff like that. But for every major character who is out in front of the stage, there's a backstage guy that's making him look even better. And that's who Logan Stankoven is right now for Johnston and for the Stars, in my opinion. His relentless forecheck and his willingness to go into the deep ends of the Vegas zone, and everybody is bigger than him. and yet he still, like, more than not comes up with the puck somehow, either in Vegas's zone, and then I've even noticed this even more in the last 3 games. It's in the neutral zone. He's puck jacking people, and people are not paying attention. And there's Stankoven. There goes the puck, opposite direction, and then that line gets a scoring chance. He's been ridiculous in the whole series. He was even good in game 1 and game 2.
Yep, 100% agree. And you kind of hit the nail on the head for me there. We knew he had skill. That pass to Dodonov, we expect to see that from Stankoven. We've known that he was a guy that can do that kind of stuff. And he's had crazy passes all over the place so far this series. But the forecheck and the even neutral, I'll even add defensive zone in there for Stankoven. That has been shockingly good, especially for a player of his size going against Vegas, this is like probably the biggest team you're going to face in the playoffs. And not only is he not intimidated by it, he is going in and looking for stuff. I mean, it is shocking to me how well he is playing for his first season as a small guy, and as a guy who's known as a talent first guy. He is showing that he has all the drive and determination that you need to be a great player in this league. And it's without any goals from Stankoven, he is also one of the best forwards for the Stars. Agreed.
And the general, so here's the other thing that I really liked about the last 3 games. Game 1, they tried to do too much off the rush, and Vegas stifled that pretty well. Then they went the opposite direction in game 2, and they completely out-hit the Vegas Golden Knights, and that wasn't their style of game. What they have been able to do is find a very good, healthy balance between the two. And that's been one of the things, and that talking about Stankoven has made me kind of realize that, because what I saw about Stankoven on social media, about some of the things people have said about him, it's like he's a 4th line grinder with the ability and the skill level of a top 6 forward. I mean, he's got both of the. I forget who said that on X. I apologize. They deserve credit for that. That's perfect example of how Stankoven has been playing the last couple of games, how the Stars have adjusted their style and their gameplay. And I just think that needs to be highlighted, because even though Stankoven has not had the same amount of offensive success like he did when he first broke out in the middle of the season, the first 10 games or so, he has found a way to make himself be a brat to the other team, to make them hate him. Credit to Stanky, and that Stank the Tank nickname that he's been given by the team. That I didn't really get it at first, and I understood it a little bit, but we're really starting to see it a lot more now, and I hope that continues.
Yep, absolutely. Makes total sense. Stank the Tank. I love it.
Okay, so we talked about Oettinger. We talked about that third line, Wyatt, Johnston. We need to talk about Jamie Benn a little bit. Yeah, I think he deserves a little bit of a shout out here tonight as well. Yes, he's not the same guy he used to be, 10 years ago when he won the Art Ross or whatever. But man, have we seen that physical side of Jamie Benn, especially the last couple of games. We've seen it all series, but man, game 4, that hit on McNabb. Here tonight, he has a couple more big hits. He's throwing his body around, and he's showing these 2 young guys who are key catalysts, who we've talked about tonight, how to play the game. And he has really, I felt like, as the veteran presence on that line and for the team in general, Chris, has really calmed those 2 guys down. And I believe he deserves a little bit of, accolades for the way that Johnston and Stankoven have been playing. Yeah. So seriously, he has been fantastic.
He's been the perfect playoff captain, playing with 2 basically rookies, technically sophomore, that you could ask for. I mean, he's responding when those guys are getting pummeled, and he's also just adding their skill too. I mean, it's not like he's not an offensive threat right now. He's got a goal in this series, and he's playing super well, getting these guys going. I mean, his passes are super crisp. He's moving through the neutral zone better than we've seen him do it in a while. So he's being the perfect thing that line and that this team needs right now, especially against a team like Vegas who has that physicality. Benn's one of the few players that can dish it back, and he's taking those opportunities to do it, not just doing it to do it, not just being physical to be physical, but having that response when it's needed. When Vegas pushes a little bit farther than they should on the physical side, Benn's there to show him that it's too far and that he's able to correct him. So I think he's done this exactly perfectly. He just needs to keep on riding that line that he's doing super well right now.
And he's done it without taking a penalty. He has done it without taking a penalty. Okay. And then this kind of goes, well, I'm not going to segue into that yet because we need to talk about this one player. I know we've been talking about Wyatt Johnston and how amazing he has been, but Robertson, again, how could he be this good in this series? He has 3 goals and I think at least 2 assists. He has been he has had in as many games, and it felt like he has been super quiet. That doesn't make sense. This is completely different from last year when he was the superstar on the team, and that's who everybody was talking about in the national media. And I don't want to say he's been better this year.
Yep.
I know he had a 100-point season, and he he's the first player, and I don't know, I can't remember if it was or whatever. He had a 100-point season. He has been ridiculous. His defensive play, he has been clutch when the Stars have needed him to be. He has been feisty. He has been physical. And what's different about this year more than anything, we talked about it in the series preview, Chris. He has shown up in the playoffs. Even though Vegas is not as physical as Minnesota was last year, he has shown up for these playoffs, and he has been a huge catalyst for the reason why this team is, again, now up 3-2.
Yeah, and this shows you why playoff experience is so important and why people go out and look for those guys that have playoff experience. Jason Robertson last year started off really slow. By the end of the playoff run, he was as hot as anyone on the team. He learned how to play in the playoffs last year, and he has taken that into this series right now, and he's learned how to be effective in his style of play. That doesn't mean he's got to go and be the star of this hockey team and go control the game. That's not how he plays hockey. He plays hockey by getting in position to score and executing, and that's exactly what he's doing now, and he's showing his physicality that we knew that he developed throughout this season as well. So he has just learned how to play this playoff style of hockey from last year and just during this season, getting that little bit of physicality. I mean, that shows his development as a player. I mean, even after having almost the best season of any Stars player in franchise history, he still developed to become better when it matters the most.
On the other side of the puck. And that was one of the things they talked about numerous times in the offseason. And we talked about it at length. He didn't show up in the Minnesota series. He started showing up halfway through the Seattle series last year. Now he's in it. He is absolutely in it and showing up big time. One of the things that I wanted to hit on off of your comment, Chris, and I fully believe this, you have to learn how to lose before you can win. And not to go too deep on it, 2020 bubble playoff run, that was hard. The veterans on this team who have been around for a while, they saw how that was and how much it sucked getting so close. 2 games away from the ultimate trophy in all sports. Last year, the way they lost that series against Vegas was so tough. They have that experience now. They don't want to feel that way again. And we're seeing it in prime time right now. Team was down 2-0, Chris, and we were down in the dumps. We didn't see how we were going to even have a chance to win this series. Now they're expected to win the series, I feel like.
Yeah,
but
they definitely are.
Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you. I'm sorry.
Okay. But what I originally actually wanted to do before we started talking about Robertson was the special teams here tonight. Special teams was the key difference in the game here tonight. Lately, in the last couple of years, it's been Jamie Benn who has taken kind of the bad penalties or whatever, and everyone that's talked about it last year with the Vegas series. Alex Petrangelo, thank you so much. We really
Yeah.
appreciate that. Sagan, I'm so sorry that was at your expense of having to get bloodied in your nose. That was the key turning point in the game. Even though Oettinger saved the game, that was the key point in the game. Petrangelo, all frustrated. And it's not like Sagan did anything there that was bad or like, a little bit extra shove or something like that. He was finishing his check, and it wasn't even a hard check at that. And Petrangelo just like whacks him in the face, and Dallas makes him pay.
Yeah, he didn't whack him in the face. He punched him in the face and bloodied him, and somehow it's a minor penalty. I'm not going to get into it yet. We can wait till even a little bit later in the podcast. But yeah, that's definitely the turning point. And another stupid penalty from Petrangelo. He had the cross check the other game too. I mean, if you want someone to blame, Vegas fans, there you go. You got Petrangelo to blame because he is literally costing this team the series right now.
I think he's going to be seen as a scapegoat for the Vegas fans. But to be totally honest with you, that was the turning point. But the way that Dallas played the third period, there was no chance in getting through the Dallas zone at all. They had the one chance, which is Chandler Stevenson. That was it. I mean, there was nothing else. Zero that would have led me to believe us would have lost this game, Chris. They just, the way they played lockdown defense with still trying to see if they could counterpunch to get an insurance goal was excellent.
Yep, absolutely agree. I mean, they did exactly what we wanted them to do the other night. They didn't just lock down and turtle in their own zone. They took it to them and played defense in the offensive zone. That's how Dallas locks down hockey games. That's how they've been successful during the regular season and closing down hockey games. But they've just proved that in the playoffs, I mean, they can do it either way that they want. So that works too.
All right. I do want to talk about the defense here a little bit tonight because I am very curious. I have not looked at the time on ice for anybody yet. So let's see who we got here. Where is Nils Lundqvist? Oh my goodness. Never would have thought. Played 3 eyelashes under 3 minutes tonight. And the defense, very spread out among the top 5. And I don't think that the way they are playing is sustainable through 4 series. But right now, you run with what's working because they've done it 3 games in a row now, and it's worked. So I don't see any reason to change it from at this point, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that what they have been doing the previous 2 games would be unsustainable, but the way that they spread out the minutes this time, I mean, I think that can work until you get Yanni back, hopefully, if you're able to advance. But
Miro didn't have to play 28 minutes tonight.
Yeah,
I mean,
Miro 28 is gonna burn him out, but I think 24 is something that he can handle if he has to, especially when it's spread out around among these other guys too.
Okay, so what did you see out of the decor here tonight, Chris, that has really impressed you, or maybe even over the last 3 games? Because they deserve huge accolades for the way they've been playing the last 3 games.
Yeah, their way to break this Vegas forecheck has been really good. I mean, being stuck in our own end hasn't really been a problem except for the third period of the last game, and that's when they were just doing it to themselves. They were just flipping the puck out of the zone instead of trying to make a pass, but that was the game plan. The game plan was, let's try and win this 1-goal game. This time, that's not the game plan. The game plan is, let's play in the other end, and they're able to make those passes and break out pretty easily. I will have a little bit of a qualm. The penalty kill needs to be more aggressive in front of the net, but this is Vegas's key to their power play is their net front presence. You have Stone and Hurdle in front of the net on your power play. It's hard to move those guys. You got to find a way to do it, though. There's no excuse. The penalty kill has not been good enough. It's a good thing the Stars are playing disciplined because they have to, because Vegas's power play is insane right now. But penalty kill's got to be a little bit better. And then one mistake from Essa, you got to pin them there. I know we were worried about penalties in the first period because everything was getting called, but man, you got to pin him, and Otter's got to keep his pads on the ice.
The split save by Otter was ridiculous, but I all 5 of the top defensemen for Dallas have been excellent, including
amazing.
Suter. I mean, I mean, who would have? I mean, I guess we could have expected this because Suter has raised his play in the playoffs. Even last year, we saw that from him. But go ahead.
Well, and I'll tell you why he's doing better. What happened is what all Stars fans were asking for happened. Suter was put on the bottom pair, and he is an absolutely awesome bottom pair defenseman. That's where he needs to be as effective as he has the past half of the season. And ever since you get Chris Tanev, you can really put Suter on the bottom pair, no problem. And ever since Tanev has been here, Tanev has been great, and Suter has been much better because he doesn't have to play 20 minutes. He gets to play 18, and he gets to play against the slower people on the other team, and it's worked great. Exactly what Stars fans wanted to happen happened. Suter's on the bottom pair, boom, good.
All 5 of those guys have been excellent. I had a little bit of a qualm with Harley earlier in the series and especially game 2. But since then, he has been excellent. And he jumped in on the rush here in the game today. Miro did that as well to give Steele an opportunity there in the third period. I mean, they've been excellent. And it kind of sucks that you're kind of playing with a limp in the leg with Lundqvist. And that's no offense to Nils Lundqvist. It's just he's only playing 5 shifts a game. And that's all they need him to do. So he has been excellent.
One more thing before we get to officials for me. And that's what Vegas did before the game. I mean, Bruce Cassidy hit the panic button. He went DEFCON 5 immediately and switched to Adin Hill, which is just shocking given how bad his end of the season was. And given what Logan Thompson did in game 3, he had one of the best goaltending performances of the playoffs. And you pull him 2 games later? That's insane. That tells me that Cassidy doesn't know what's going on and he can't fix it. He's got nothing to fix it, in his opinion, if he's making that change after what Thompson has done this series.
And I'm glad you brought that up. That was literally going to be the next point I brought up. It didn't make any sense. I mean, I understand that, you lost both games in Vegas with Thompson and net, but the Vegas did not play well in front of him. And maybe that was the thought process from Bruce Cassidy. Like, okay, well, Adin Hill, had this great run last year. He looked lost tonight.
Yeah.
It was so obvious why Logan Thompson started the first 4 games of the series.
Yep.
I mean, it was clearly was not even close to. Thompson is here. I mean, and Hill is not even on camera. Like, he's not even on the camera screen for me right now. Like, he's completely off. And the amount of rebound chances that he was giving up compared to Thompson, and Thompson was seeing everything. I don't want to say that was a factor in the game, but it absolutely was because of the way that Vegas kind of played in front of him as well. And he just didn't have a good game tonight. I guess they were just hoping for some playoff ghosts of the past from last year, but I don't know. I thought that was a very strange, awkward decision by Bruce Cassidy.
I'll tell you, for the Stars players, that's definitely a factor for them. I mean, the amount of chatter in the dressing room before the game starts, we knocked their goalie out in just 2 games. I mean, that is some confidence boost, and man, they showed it tonight, and they had a lot more chances. They could have had 5-6 goals tonight, and they just whiffed on them. So it wasn't like Adin Hill did anything to stop those. The Stars had a lot of chances they could have scored on and didn't get them because of what the Stars did. So, yeah, Hill was not anywhere near as good as Thompson was. You didn't see half of the saves that Thompson was able to make in the past 4 games. I think that was a truly awful decision from Cassidy to abandon your starting netminder after a little bit of adversity. I mean, and it also makes me happy that we have a bona fide franchise goaltender in Jake Oettinger. There's no doubt who's playing. We could lose 3 straight. Otter's playing.
Yep, agreed, 100%. I mean, we talked about this again in the series preview. The Stars are only going to go as far as Oettinger takes them. I don't think he has to be as big a factor as he was 2 years ago, like when he was literally standing on his head and like levitating above the ice, making all those saves against the Flames. But I mean, man, that save is going to live in my head. It's going to be in my dreams tonight for the reason why the Stars won this game tonight.
If the Stars take this series, that's the highlight. That's it right there.
Okay, let's go back to the Seguin thing for just a second. The Seguin Pietrangelo thing, because there's still a lot of people who are still talking about it.
Let's get to the refs. Why don't we?
Yep. So the reffing was
officiating.
Whatever. Reffing, officiating. I don't care, Chris. All right. It was not very good tonight. I will say that. Chris?
It was dog crap. It was absolutely terrible. And it was pansy stuff too. I mean, they were scared little children that wanted to try and avoid ruining the game, and in doing that, they ruined the game. I mean, to call Seguin for the 5-minute major for a hit to the head after not calling a penalty initially, just so you can go back and review it, and then to give him a 2-minute minor for it when he maybe scraped the visor with his hip. I mean, that's terrible. And the fact that there can be a penalty for a hit to the head and the guy's out there the next shift on the power play, garbage. That is trash. If you get a hit to the head and the dude's on the ice flailing around on the ground, totally not trying to embellish anything, then he should be a concussion protocol. I mean, that's garbage. And that's not even the worst one. Seguin literally gets sucker punched, and it's a minor penalty. And they call the 5-minute major immediately on that one. Yeah, that makes sense. He got punched in the face and was bleeding from his face orifice. They review it, and they called it an elbow initially, which, first of all, you're an idiot if you thought that was an elbow. Live, we knew it wasn't an elbow. And then to take it down to a minor after seeing they saw the video. Normally you're like, okay, you can give the ref a little bit of a break. He's trying to call it live. No, they went back and watched the video on a tablet like little iPad kids. They watched Pietrangelo punch Seguin in the face intentionally after the puck was long gone. And they said, you know what? That's a minor penalty. That is absolutely atrocious. And the reason they did that is because they don't want to have a big impact in the game. Well, in doing so, you almost had a big impact in the game if Robo didn't score that. So it's pansy officiating. And those were just the two worst calls. The calls in the first period were awful as well, both ways. So they're bad officials. They couldn't see anything, and they were scared wimps. I mean, if these officials see the ice for the remainder of the playoffs, it will be a travesty. I need to call them out, dox them a little bit, not actually doxing them. I'm just giving you all their names. Garrett Rank and John Hebert. If you see their names on the scorecard, you should be afraid. That was a truly awful performance from those two guys. They should be ashamed. The league should be ashamed. Almost ruined a great hockey game. Those guys suck.
Well, we'll see moving forward if those guys will be in any more series. Whether the Stars win this series or not, I highly doubt that we will see both of those guys. I mean, we might see one of them in the next round, but I would be extremely surprised if we saw both of them in either one of the series remaining. So, okay. Wow, Chris, I never knew that you felt that way about officiating all that badly. Normally, it's me that complains about it.
Well, I mean, I try and hold it in, but both of those bad calls, they watched the video. And they were just babies, too. I can't stand it when you're just a wimp, when you're a loser. That's what pisses me off. If you're going to make a bad call, man up and make a bad call. But they wouldn't even do that.
Now, one of the things that I will give a little bit of grace to for the officials was on the hit to the head that Seguin had on Theodore. What they can't do is they can't completely rescind a penalty. They're not allowed to. No, they can't.
They can now.
They can?
I am 80% sure.
I
man,
don't
we
think
look
that's
dumb on our
true.
own podcast.
I know we're gonna have
Dang
to look
it.
that up. Okay, where's James when you need him? James.
We need James.
Ugh. Okay.
Anyway,
Anyways, either way, if that's the case and they are allowed to completely rescind the penalty, then they look even more stupid. But I was trying to give them at least a little bit of saving grace there.
well,
But,
they changed
okay.
the elbow penalty to a roughing penalty, so I'm pretty sure that they could do whatever they want after they're able to review it.
Okay, all right. So yeah, people are telling us here, helping us out here. Zach,
Everyone says
Davis,
I'm right.
and Brooke. Yeah, everyone's saying that
Bang.
Chris is right. Bing bong, Chris. Trying to think. I think that's it.
That's everything I wanted to hit. We got biggest winner, biggest loser.
Let's do it. You first.
Me first. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna give it to Jake Oettinger for the one play. One play in the third period doesn't matter. You deserve it for one play. Jake Oettinger, biggest winner.
That's why I gave Hintz the biggest winner in the last game. He got the empty net goal and made that big block shot there at the end of the game. Man, there's so many players you could choose tonight. You know, I'll give it to somebody who hasn't been talked about tonight. Matt Duchene.
Yes.
Gets on the goal sheet tonight. Finally. Man, he has been so snake bit in the second half of the regular season and even here in the playoffs. I really hope that's more goals to come from Matt Duchene. So I'll give him my biggest winner just since we didn't really talk about him and we've talked about so many other players that have done well. So Matt Duchene, biggest winner.
Love to see him bounce back and get the dirty goal around the crease too. That's not a Duchene goal, but he's going where the goals are right now because he needs them.
Yes, agreed. Biggest loser.
Pietrangelo. I mean, he literally
there's nobody else that deserves it. Nobody else.
I know you said that Vegas is going to use him as a scapegoat, but like, it's pretty valid. I mean, he's done three absolutely awful plays that have cost his team on all three.
And I absolutely agree with you. He deserves a little bit of it, but again, like I've always said about the Stars, even though you might have a bad call against you and the refs make a bad call against you, you still have the opportunity to kill it off. And there are sometimes the Stars don't. You have to control your own destiny. That's really what it is. And they could have controlled their own destiny with Pietrangelo, who is their best, defenseman, who bails them out a bunch of times and gets them points at key times. They could have bailed them out and they didn't. Their penalty kill was not good tonight. They were only 50% on the penalty kill tonight. The Vegas Golden Knights were. So he could be a scapegoat, but that's not the case here tonight. So there are lots of other things you could point to. I'm gonna give mine. I could give it to Pietrangelo as well, but again, since we already talked about that, I think the stupidest decision of the night goes to Bruce Cassidy.
Yep.
Take out. I mean, how can you take out Logan Thompson, who has been excellent for you? Even game four, he was still not the superhero he was in game 3, but he was still very good. How can you take him out after that? He won the 2 games in Dallas. And you're going to put in a goalie who had an .847 save percentage in the 5 remaining games that he played in the regular season? What? That makes no sense whatsoever.
Especially when you're in a 2-2 series and both teams won all the games on the road. You go into a game 5, it's just who blinks first. And with that move, Vegas blinked before the puck dropped tonight. Insane decision. Fully agree with you there, Ryan.
Yeah. And okay, Ardell, I get it. I completely get it. Aiden Hill owned the Dallas Stars in the Western Conference Final last year with the 2 shutouts. But I mean, you have to look at the circumstances in the series and then the way they ended the regular season. And Bruce Cassidy made the right decision at the beginning of game 1. Logan Thompson was their better of their 2 goalies right then and there at the end of the regular season. That's why he got the start in the first 4 games. Does not make any sense why you would turn to Aiden Hill. Unless, like you said, Chris, they're freaking out. They panic. They hit the panic button. And now the series is now shifting back to Vegas in Game 6, where the Stars have a chance to finish it out. A possible reverse sweep after losing the first 2 games, playing great, especially in the second game. Man, I hate hockey. I love hockey. It's just ridiculous how this series has played out. This has been one of the best series I have watched in a very long time, from an emotional standpoint, especially, Chris.
Yeah, sans empty netters, every single game this series has been 1-goal game. It's been awesome. This series has been so much fun. And, man, we talk about it every time we get to a Game 6 and the Stars were up. Game 6, you got to close it out. You got to close the door, especially when the Stars are playing so good these past 3 games. There's no more hope. Don't give them hope. You give them a Game 6 win, there's their hope. Don't give it to them. You got all the momentum right now. When you have the momentum, close the door. That's it. Close the door in Game 6. Go get it done in a quiet Vegas arena compared to what the AAC was tonight, and get at least a little bit of rest before you take on the Avalanche. That should be your goal. Close it down. Get it done.
We're not even saying the A word right now until this series is over, Chris. I'm not saying it until the series is over. No, shush. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it here for us tonight. I think I was going to ask this question, but it's a stupid question. We're going to see Logan Thompson in Game 6. There's no doubt in my mind. If we see Aiden Hill, I will be shocked. I will be absolutely shocked.
I was shocked to see him tonight.
That's true as well. Okay, y'all. Thank y'all so much for following along live with us. 138 here tonight, Chris. These crowds here on this live stream just get ridiculous. There's more of you who are listening afterwards as well. If you're watching live right now, please consider liking and subscribing anywhere you are watching this video. Follow us on social media, basically anywhere and everywhere. Sarcasticremarks.com is the website. It's the first place you can listen to our episode after it's uploaded. And as always, please consider leaving us a 5-star review anywhere you listen to your podcast for us. We really appreciate it there. We just recently got a 5-star review from I forgot it. Kingslayer. Help me, Chris.
Yeah. Kingslayer.
Kingslayer or something. Thank you, Kingslayer. Whoever you are, we really appreciate it. Alongside Chris, my name is Ryan. We will catch you guys on the flip side, and we hope you guys have a fantastic afternoon, morning, evening, whenever you guys are listening. Let's go finish out Vegas in Game 6. Chris?
Suck it, Biz. GG, boys.